Cartoons often live in their own little world and universe, but there are some times where animators take the reins and infuse real life into the animated world. From politics to stories ripped straight from the headlines, see how shows like South Park and The Simpsons took on real life with episodes reflecting on presidents, Hollywood life, and climate change. And stay with us as we explore how random shows like My Little Pony decided to infuse some news into the headlines of their shows as well.
My blanket! Let's play, blanket!
Imagine having an episode air the night after an election and be able to feature real results and information. Well, this is definitely the case for South Park's episode About Last Night, which aired the day after the 2008 Barack Obama and John McCain election. The show had a hunch that Obama would win and worked on that episode for months prior to the election. Well, that wasn't enough either. In the hours leading up to the episode's premiere, the production team worked tirelessly to toss in new gags and jokes. The episode itself wasn't so much about political jokes as it was a fun action adventure, but the timeliness of the whole thing felt so current and relevant that it made us wish all animated shows were able to pull this thing off.
Oh, mama, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hell, mama!
While South Park's animation style allows for quick changes, Family Guy doesn't always have the chance to showcase current events. They leave those gags to their Emmy mailers. Every year, Family Guy sends out screener DVDs to Emmy voters, and they use the DVDs to showcase timely jokes that would feel outdated if they aired on the show a year later. More recently, the mailer included the family's heads pasted on a bunch of rowers and stated, "We've earned this. Family Guy, Class of 2019. The whole ruse was a parody of the major college admissions scandal involving Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin. The devastating hurricane in Puerto Rico caused massive amounts of damage as the United States territory sought recovery help from all over the globe. Well, The Simpsons decided to pitch in and deliver a message to help with donations, starring none other than Mo Sizlak. Mo actually reads a real tweet from the mayor of San Juan before collecting his tab from Barney and donating a real $25,000 to help the island out. The video showcased how passionate people were to help this area during the devastating times, and the quick clip even managed to toss in a few laughs as well. In the world of cartoons, it feels like Peter Griffin was born to have a fistfight with Donald Trump. It's like all those chicken fights were training grounds for what was to come. Well, in the episode Trump Guy, we got to see the fight in all its glory, along with a scathing parody of the president. Besides the ultra-violent fight between the two, the show took aim to criticize the president and make comparisons to his outspoken behavior when compared to the antics on the show. Anyway, the fight rages on through the White House, into Congress, and eventually turns into an aerial battle up to the top of the Washington Monument. Peter has taken on many battles before, but nothing felt more real than this episode. While The Simpsons actually had Michael Jackson voice a character on their show,
Hi, I'm Michael Jackson from The Jacksons.
I'm Homer Simpson from The Simpsons.
South Park took a much different route in 2004 with the episode The Jeffersons. In the story, Michael Jackson moves to South Park using the fake name Martin Jefferson. As the circumstances escalate, the show absolutely obliterates the image of Jackson and the way he raised his children like blanket. Nothing gets held back as all of Jackson's controversies are taken head on. Only South Park could turn the real life of Michael Jackson into some absurd humor featuring funny sight gags and quotes people still talk about today.
He can fly! He can fly! Stop!
After years of skating free with the stereotypical portrayal of Apu on The Simpsons, the show came under a lot of scrutiny with the release of The Problem with Apu, a scathing documentary which showcases everything wrong with the character and how he's been portrayed over the years. Well, The Simpsons decided to make their response through their characters. Marge reads Lisa an older book that is now deemed offensive, and Lisa looks directly into the camera to give a speech about how Apu was raved and applauded only to be deemed politically incorrect. So instead of correcting the issue, the show stood by their stance for the time being. While older episodes couldn't be changed, the Apu character was still used until Hank Azaria finally decided to step down from the role, pleasing many fans, while others saw it as too little too late. An episode of The Simpsons takes nearly a year to produce, adding the extra challenge of making them topical. Well, back in 2001, the XFL Football League debuted for one season before folding and not extending for a second season. In March of the following year, The Simpsons aired The Old Man and the Key, where Homer eagerly awaits season 2 of the league. Well, they were right. And right on time for when season 2 should have debuted. Not all is lost though. If Homer's still a huge fan of the league, he'd be happy to know that the XFL did come back in 2020, semi-creating another Simpsons prediction for the future. Maybe the show will return for the same gag if the Football League doesn't last for a second season once again. Yes, even My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, gets political. The character Princess Cadence is essentially based off of Kate Middleton, right down to the royal wedding and a pregnancy a year later. The show goes full royal for the princess, and shortly after the real-life events Middleton has had with Prince William, we would see similar storylines on the cartoon. Not some bad source material. Many cartoons have taken on the topic of climate change. The Simpsons even revolved their official movie around Homer polluting the town of Springfield. Well, on South Park, the back-to-back episodes featuring Man Bear Pig featured a modern and relevant take on climate change. Instead of relying on science and fact, the show brilliantly manifested climate change into a creature known as Man Bear Pig. An animated Al Gore character got involved with a fight against Man Bear Pig, and the smart commentary against climate change deniers was presented in a thoughtful and funny way. Man Bear Pig first appeared in season 10, but the season 22 episodes are really where this show hits its mark on climate change. When The Simpsons decide to keep things topical, they mainly remain on their YouTube channel where the animators can churn out a short video at a much faster rate. Case in point, the political short entitled 3 a.m. Released just before the 2016 election, the short imagines Donald Trump the night before the election takes place and even includes a bizarre way he preps for public appearances. In the end, even Marge and Homer took a stand, declaring their votes for Hillary Clinton. The short took jabs at both candidates, but was a pretty big political message in the way it showcased what candidate they were rooting for. Not only has The Simpsons taken on politics, but the show writers took on immigration with the season 7 episode Much Apu About Nothing. In the episode, Apu worries about deportation after the town proposes Proposition 24, which would deport all the illegal immigrants from Springfield. The storyline was not made up from thin air. It's actually based on the real-life Proposition 187 in California. The proposition would have prevented many illegal immigrants from health and educational services. And it passed, but was deemed unconstitutional and eventually dismissed from the state. The Simpsons showcased how preposterous the entire thing was, and sadly, Much Apu About Nothing feels even more relevant now. Before you accuse The Simpsons of leaning too far to the left, maybe you should go back through their YouTube archives all the way to 2012. In the lead up to the election, the show released a short clip of Mr. Burns showing his support for Republican candidate Mitt Romney. The short features a lot of funny moments, including Burns having a dog decide on one of Mitt's delicious snacks, or Barack Obama's plate of broccoli, supplied by Michelle Obama. Burns' tactics force the dog to jump out of the window, but Mr. Burns' choice is still pretty clear. We cannot wait to see what they come up with for the upcoming 2020 presidential election.
Who do you like better, Broccoli Obama or Mitt Romney?
During season 19 of South Park, it felt like Caitlyn Jenner had become a supporting character on the show. She was running for vice president alongside Mr. Garrison and kept popping up for multiple episodes. One of the running gags featured in the episodes sees Jenner constantly getting behind the wheel and running over pedestrians on the road. At one point, she even pulls up on the sidewalk and plows over dozens of people. The harsh joke was based off of the real-life car crash Jenner was involved in. South Park showed no mercy on her as they constantly reminded viewers of the tragedy episode after episode. For over 16 years, Family Guy has been desperate to win a coveted Emmy for Best Comedy or Best Animated Program, but the show continues to fall short while The Simpsons has racked up a whole closet full of statues. In an all-meta episode, the season 16 premiere of Family Guy tackled the issue of the Emmy as the Griffins tried desperately to win the big one.
What are you hiding? What's the big secret reason Family Guy can't win an Emmy?
The episode ends with a group of Emmy winners including Alec Baldwin and Julie Bowen. A bunch of the celebrities actually voiced their own characters and provided some good laughs as they explained exactly why Family Guy hasn't won.
All right, we'll tell you. Your show sucks.
Modern Family's Ty Burrell even makes a live-action cameo where he chokes out a rubber chicken.
I don't have any more room in my house.
Unfortunately, even this episode didn't help the show earn an Emmy. South Park has never shied away from making fun of Hollywood elite like Barbra Streisand, Jennifer Lopez, and Ben Affleck. They also took on George Clooney in the 2006 episode Smug Alert. The story involves the rise of hybrid cars, but instead of making smog in the air, the cars create smug, where people all feel very uppity about their vehicles. Airing just 3 weeks after the Academy Awards, the giant smug cloud in the episode is actually a cloud quoting direct lines from George Clooney's Oscar acceptance speech. Clooney talks about changes in Hollywood, supporting various causes, and how actors have always been ahead of the trends. Obviously, Trey Parker and Matt Stone were not big fans of the speech. If you want the potluck of real-life headlines mixed in with cartoons, then you must watch the infamous South Park episode, Trapped in the Closet. The story takes on Tom Cruise, Scientology, R. Kelly, and John Travolta all in one crazy adventure. Isaac Hayes even refused to voice Chef for the episode due to the Scientology criticisms, which eventually led to Chef's demise on the show. Trapped in the Closet is often lauded as a landmark episode for the series and pulls no punches when it comes to taking down the big celebrities. R. Kelly is torn to shreds, years and years before a Lifetime documentary revealed a lot more of the ugly truth. Wow. So now we want to know, what do you think? Should these shows take on real news? Do you like current events mixed in, or would you rather zone out and just enjoy some classic comedy? Any great moments we missed? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to ScreenRant for more great content.